Tiếp theo của chương trình thì chúng ta sẽ đến với phiên Composability Web 3 Meet AI. Vì sao cái buổi này rất là đáng theo dõi? Bởi vì cái công nghệ Web 3 hiện tại đã phát triển rất là mạnh rồi, mà còn kiêm thêm AI nữa, thì chúng ta sẽ thấy được cái sức mạnh của nó đáng kể rất là như thế nào. Vậy thì khi AI gặp Web 3 thì tiềm năng cho các hệ sinh thái thông minh và cái quyền tự quyết định, tự trị của nó sẽ mạnh như thế nào? Thì bây giờ chúng ta sẽ mời các diễn giả sau đây để có thể lên chia sẻ và trao đổi với nhau. Thì xin trân trọng giới thiệu các diễn giả Laura Nguyen, Hanken, Tom Ngo và điều phối là anh Fady. Thank you to speaker and moderator of reverse panel. Up next, we have the panel Composability with Web 3 meets AI. Why watch? When AI meets Web3, the potential for intelligent autonomous ecosystem grows rapidly. Please welcome our panelists, Laura Nguyen, Hanken, Tom Ngo, and moderator Fady.
Check. All right. Thank you everybody for joining us. So today we'll be talking about a very interesting topic. My name is Fady. I am VP of Strategic Partnerships at Mimo Capital. We're a venture studio based out of Dubai. Been building DeFi products for the past 5 years, and more recently we've been looking into AI applications in DeFi. But yeah, enough about me. Let's talk about the panel of experts who have joined us today, and maybe a quick introduction, starting maybe with Tom and moving forward.
Yep, pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. Great to be here at ETH Vietnam. Super excited for this discussion. I think AI is a big innovative push in this technology, and really alignment with what we're doing in the blockchain space. I'm the CEO of Metis. We were one of the first L2 scaling solution for Ethereum. So understanding scalability and bringing usability of blockchain to the mass is one of our key initiatives. But the space has really advanced into a more comprehensive and more demanding space where we can apply blockchain to many things we're doing. AI is a sector that we do and are putting a lot of resource in, as we see this will be the next generation push of changes in everything we do in today's interaction.
I'm Jan, founder of AIL. We're primarily an AI company, R&D mostly, but we are spinning out products based on our models. And one of our main focus areas, that's why we're here, is building a layer 1, which enables you to have inference of AI. So basically run AI fully validated on chain. So basically what Ethereum did to software, we are doing with AI. Yeah, looking forward.
Hello everyone, my name is Laura. So I'm the GP of the venture capital called GenAI Fund. So our focus is investing in the early stage startup in the regions. We are a partner of different type partners. Like currently we run the Fast Track AI Accelerator program with NVIDIA, and also we run a multiple initiative called GenAI Open Innovation with AWS and Google. On top of that, I'm actually the regional head at Avalon. So I'm leading the growth of the Avalanche ecosystem in the region, which include Vietnam. A little bit mixed over there, but happy to be here.
Thank you everybody. A very, very stacked panel we have today. So yeah, before we get started, maybe on the Web3 side of things, maybe the topic might be a bit confusing to some people. So maybe we start by talking about composability and what it looks like in the traditional sense of things. So how does it look for AI agents? What does composability look like for AI agents, and what are the current limitations? Maybe Tom, you want to start with it?
Sure. I think with AI agents right now, it's coming to a point where it's being used by retail, and we are looking to automate a lot of things that are complex. Blockchain is extremely complex already, even complex for me when I interact currently at this state. So how we're applying blockchain and AI and agents is basically having agents do the complexity interaction. and also verifying any kind of trust issues. I think when I bridge, I'm still concerned about if the bridge is legitimate. Also, is it verified? I have to check maybe 3 sources before I make any kind of interaction. And small sum, large sum is definitely a challenge. So thinking about adoption and enterprise side, we don't have a standard where we can verify a lot of this with blockchain because the barrier of entry and also I would say the risk is still pretty high, as you've seen recently. So in terms of composability, I think agents are becoming a must-have because it reduces some of the challenges, almost like the trust side, which blockchains brings. And I think with agents, it's still pretty simple in the way it interacts, but still there needs to be a lot of, I would say, standard where agents can interact with each other. Now that we have, hey, simplicity, input, output type commands for agents, now it's like, hey, can we have more complex scenarios to help us in our kind of, I would say, everyday lives in the blockchain space or any other things that we utilize AI for?
I think let's start with the limitations and look at Web 2 first. There are no real limitations. Bandwidth, maybe. AI is perfectly capable of creating its own channels if it wants to. We might not be in control, though, and that might be the somewhat problematic part there. But why composability in the first place? Maybe let's address that as well. We could try and build a super intelligence model. I mean, that's the holy grail, kind of. That does everything. You don't have to worry. Everything, or every interaction of certain topics happens in between, but we're not there. The current consensus basically in R&D is that in 3 to 5 years, we can expect to have highly specialized models, savants, in their specific fields that beat pretty much any human in that. So now you need to have them work together, like you would have a team of humans in specific fields, specialists for that topic and that topic work together. And how they do that is pretty much, it could be a specialized type of verbal speech. It could be electronic means, which it probably would be, but you could leave that to the AI. Now, if you talk Web3, and that's the interesting part, and what I love about the combination of blockchain and AI, one is very rigid, one is very deterministic, and defines very specific rules in blockchain. And I have the transparency I need, the accountability I need. And on the other hand, I have something extremely flexible that I can put on several tasks in these agents. So now if I define a mode of communication, let's say through blockchain, like recorded on the blockchain, I have a framework for accountability here, right? And traceability that I wouldn't have otherwise. So the short answer is right now, if I let AI agents do what they want, there is no restrictions. They are at current level perfectly capable of building their own communication protocols and communicate with each other.
Thank you, Jan. Laura?
Yeah, so before I answer the questions, any of you here are familiar with GOM 4.5?
Haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, you haven't, right? But I mean, it's a Chinese model. Earlier this year, we're talking about DeepSeek, go crazy, and then now it's talking about GOM. And actually, GOM released their benchmark in which startup they are quite compatible with GPT. I think 4.5. But the thing is that they no longer focus on answer and accuracy. But in fact, they actually focus more on reasonings. Why? And also focus more on like how to compile different tasks together. So why I say that? Because of, when we're talking about agents, so everyone talk about AI agent and then also AI assistant. In the past, it only stopped at the fact that you had an AI to help you to answer, like just Q&A. But the thing is that Q&A it had hallucinations unless that you just do direct query to your database and you get that. But the fact that you don't want that, right? You want a bit more. So that's why. But then we suddenly found that you cannot get away from hallucination anymore, no matter how hard you try. And in fact, that a lot of people use AI not just like for Q&A. In fact, that they wanted to do different tasks. You combine the tasks together, right? Like workflow automation. And then we also talk to we also talk to like some customers, some project. They no longer care about like, hey, I want the AI have to be like super accurate, answer correctly. But in fact, they just want to focus on like, hey, how it can help me to do different things, right? So just go back to your question about composability, which is like you combine that together, or like AI can do multiple things instead of just like Q&A, which is, I don't think anyone can beat ChatGPT or, like US model simply because they have huge amount of data. They have been training for years and they just like so good about it. So in fact, that when you cannot compete head to head, what you're gonna do? You focus on something that can bring, the actual value for the user. So I do think that a composability is like the ends, right? Like the what that of the project, the AI agent. I honestly, I don't like the term AI agents because it's make me feel that it's so narrow, right? But that is, I see the future for AI.
Can I add something to this? So
Absolutely.
in terms of composability, I think what we're going to start seeing is agent composability is almost like liquidity fragmentation in blockchain.
Yeah.
There are no standard, and it's a challenge to have the information or data really communicate, or agents really pull from the same data source where they can understand the same kind of maybe data set. So in terms of where we're at with composability and Web3, I think we're still a little far off, because even for us, we're still figuring out the liquidity fragmentation, which it has been kind of the initiative of why blockchain was created. So in terms of that, where we are with composability, I think from the Web2 side, they have no limitation. They don't have to really focus on transparency. Us in the blockchain industry, we're trying to create almost trustless environment, verify data. But in terms, how many people really don't use AWS, right? I think every blockchain team might be using AWS. Who doesn't use Gmail? So I think one of the key things is we have to, as an industry, we have to make sure that we create frictionless adoption where it can adopt to Web2 easily. But right now, it's a little complex in the composability side.
And I mean, we need to see that every time we use AI in the blockchain context is a highly centralized event. It's
absolutely,
never
100%. You guys touched on a really, really good points. Amongst all the points that you guys made, I think one of the most important to keep in mind is, so in terms of composability, we have a lot of different actors in the AI agent world where each can handle a specific task. And you have some AI agents that are here to orchestrate those different tasks. And I think when Jan touched on the superintelligence, in my opinion, and I've read some papers about it, a superintelligence is not one agent. It is a bunch of agents that are really good at what they do in each niche tasks, working together, being orchestrated in a way where they work together to achieve one or another goal, right? So this is kind of like, I think, where we're going with composability.
It's more like that's the difference between the agent model and the non-agent model. Like if you say superintelligence in the way it's usually used, yes, it has components that are highly specialized, as every neural network does. Your brain has a speech center, it has centers for specific purposes, but it's still one unit. Mm-hmm. And that will be the difference between an agentic model where we have the different agents that just talk very efficiently with each other, but are still isolated, or one superintelligence, which certainly has neurons for certain tasks, but is still one model.
Absolutely. So let's move on to the next question. So now we're kind of tidying up with the Web3. So beyond what we've been seeing with all the hype, we hear a lot of like AI this, AI that in the Web3, people trying to shoehorn AI application into maybe sometimes, most of the times, stuff that does not require AI. We really have to think, does AI benefit from Web3? Does Web3 benefit from AI in this particular case? There are cases. What do you think are the most accurate and the most useful cases that are happening right now, or maybe that you've been foreseeing in the future?
So the way I think about AI, actually the terms artificial intelligence actually first came in 1956, right? Which is like by the Alan Turing. I'm sure you heard about him, and then. But actually, people thought that of AI just very recently. Why? It's because of ChatGPT, right? Because of ChatGPT is a is the fastest application get 100 million user, right? I think it's 2 months. Because of why it can come closer to the user, right? So it means that for the user, they don't, sure, I mean, the scientists and all of the researchers care about the technology behind, but when it's come to the user, right, they only care about the application, how it can help them. And why ChatGPT is so powerful, because it requires you absolutely nothing to be able to use that. All of what you need to do, just you need to know how to use your phone and type. Then it can answer the question. So it's super easy. So the way I look into the AI and its adoption is actually come to how it can come closer to the user, like retail user, normal. But then I say normal user is imply on abnormal user. I mean, user. I don't know how to
understand your point. Don't worry.
I don't know how to describe in a better way. Yeah, but user, right? And then one of the challenge when it's come to Web3, which is Tom also mentioned a little bit earlier, is actually super difficult for the normal user to just onboard. Even right now, it's also very difficult. I just wanted to use username and password so that I can access my wallet, but I still have to remember my recovery phrase and so on. So I think that one side that the purpose of each of that is completely different. One is emphasize on ownership, decentralization, traceability. The other one is on adoption, right? Like how you can just bring a lot of user into an ecosystem. So I think that if you can just combine that together, it's probably gonna be the best use case. How you do that? I mean,
Exactly.
start with something simple,
question.
right? Something like, for example, I don't know, I just literally imagine right now, like my mother. Imagine that my mom can just talk to the phone like, hey, buy Bitcoin for me. And then when it goes to a certain number, it can sell that. That is when I think that is a level of adoption I want, right?
Absolutely.
If my mom cannot do that, then I think that's we're still far ahead. Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. Jan?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. When you look at AI agents, how I look at it a little bit is, it's an agent for you that's native to the digital world, right? We interact with the digital world in very limited bandwidth. We have a phone. We need to use our eyes, our optical nerves, to read what's on the phone, but we don't remember phone numbers anymore. I remember the number of my grandma from my childhood. That's it, literally. And I used to know dozens, right? So that's a form of I outsource some of my brain capacity to a digital gadget, but the bandwidth is really not there. Yeah. Now, if I have an agent that I can talk in a natural way towards, and then it does all that for me in the digital world with a high bandwidth interface, that's where the value is, and is exactly the use case you describe. I tell it to do something. I don't want to remember my seed phase. I don't want to remember my password even. Let the agent do everything. Just do what it does best. I think those use cases will be the ones that make the most sense. Right now, most use cases in Web3 are still some chatbots that...
Yeah, too complicated.
You can say
nice memes. But,
too complicated.
Yeah, exactly. But what we are seeing is people that approach us, they are most interested in trading bots, investment bots. And obviously, the current problem with that in Web3 is, yes, you want to be decentralized. That's one of the values why you do it on Web3 and not talk to your bank. But then you have this OpenAI thing that you have no control over. It's highly centralized. And that's where obviously our platform comes into play, where you can do it decentralized. But yeah, those are the first use cases. But I think it's not limited to that. Everything where you interact with the world, and that is more and more digital anyways, it won't replace a waiter or thing where you have human-to-human interaction, but it will replace everything that you do in a digital manner right now.
I do agree that we do need independent models native to Web3 that understand how Web3 works and have security protocols that are for the Web3 before we can achieve this. Because saying buy Bitcoin on my behalf, you're still signing something. You're still doing. Remember my passkey for me. Like you're giving it to a third party. Like it is a third party, right? It is your assistant, whatever. It is still a third party. So we're long ways. I think we're still a bit of a long ways before we have 100% trust into that, unless it's hosted on your own phone, on your own device. In this case,
it's like another human, right?
Which is is moving toward that, right? Because if you see the curve of the AI right now, it's actually, we're talking about, I think 2 years ago, because I used to fight doing the Vietnamese language model, we focus on LLM. Right now, you don't talk about LLM. You actually talk about SLM, which is like small model. And then you talk about Edge AI, which is like the one that can work on your phones, right? So I do think that of the future that's not far away. In fact, it's very close. Yeah.
I think the one thing is, and it comes up in every single panel I've been on, accountability. Like, I tell the agent to invest for me. I give it my access to my wallet. Now somebody comes along, talks to the model, and convinces the model to give him or her the seed phrase or transfer all my money to that person. So I need to be able to trust it the way I would trust a human I hand this over to.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So siloing kind of like this AI agent into a device that you trust, etc. So sort of a 2FA, we still need that. But yeah, thank you for your points on the DeFi, and I do believe that DeFi is what would benefit the most from an AI agent integration, simply because, as you said, your mother wants to buy Bitcoin, my brother-in-law wants to earn yield. Am I going to teach him how to go on a bridge, connect his wallet, bridge, swap, stake?
No,
No,
you don't. I tried.
When you go to
Don't
the
do
bank
it.
and the bank offers you, 5% on your savings account, do you need to understand where it comes from? Do you want to understand where it comes from? Maybe you do, and it's available. If you don't, you just want to invest. That's all you want. So yeah, Tom, what's your thoughts?
One of the question is, does AI need blockchain or does blockchain need AI?
They need each other.
Actually, you're right. But in this current state, it seems like AI doesn't need blockchain, but in actuality, it needs blockchain more than ever. Why? If you could look at the news right back then, we believe news is actually the holy grail of truth. I think AI models and data that are inside these silo boxes are basically can be manipulated, influenced, and they can be weaponized for countries. We talk about fake news, and actually there could be fake data sets in these models. So in terms of like one of the things that I've heard, where in certain part of the countries they'll launch 200 website, but with artificial news or news that to manipulate certain markets. Now the AI agent will pick up the news and say, hey, this is more legitimate because there's more data on this. So this must be truth. But in actuality, I think if in the wrong hands and not really observed and monitored, it could really do more harm than good. So in terms of does AI need blockchain, I think it absolutely needs it right now, and it needs it more than blockchain needs AI.
Okay, so for censorship purposes, for censorship proof purposes, for data manipulation countering, blockchain has been proven to be strong in this. So AI could leverage this particular tech,
Accountability.
right?
Yeah.
Accountability
Exactly
again,
it.
yes, it goes
Like,
back to that.
you need some form to recognize, okay, what's the chain of events here? What happened? What did this AI do? Who created this AI? What is it based on? What is the data it's based on? And right now we don't have that. I have no idea what OpenAI used to train their models. Honestly, they don't really know. And that's the fascinating part, but let's not go down that rabbit hole, right? And as long as I don't have that accountability, it's really hard to trust a model. And the more intelligent it gets, is it aligned with me? Or is it misaligned? And if it's misaligned and has access to vital components of my society, energy, critical infrastructure, worst case, biolabs, right? Let's not go there. So I need to have accountability, and blockchain is the ideal technology that has been developed to do so. And that's why I think like AI is perfect to give you access to blockchain, and it's great for it, and it kind of needs it for mass adoption. But on the other hand, AI with blockchain is the ideal tool to make AI accountable. But right now, there's no model that actually is doing that because we don't have the infrastructure.
Absolutely, 100%. I think we're going to be running out of time soon, so maybe we're touching on the last bit, which is MCPs. A very interesting topic because I think it is very relevant to Web3, as in we have a very interesting thing in Web3, which is public key and private key, which can allow us to communicate the intent of purchase to a third party. For example, I'm thinking, hey, when is ETH Vietnam happening? ETH Vietnam is happening on this day. Yeah, book me a flight, book me a hotel, etc., etc. That is the intent, right? So you already gave the validation to the AI agent. The AI agent goes and through MCPs communicates with various third parties without the need of APIs, which is, I think, very, very interesting because it opens the door to a lot of things. And Web3 being, again, what we said, having accountability, etc., and also being one of the best means of payments. I mean, this is the core of what we're doing, right? Fast transactions, etc., on-chain, traceability. How do you think, and how fast do you think we're going to move towards having this kind of agents that I mentioned, where you can just, hey, book me this, book me that, pay with my crypto, give you access to my USDC, and just take care of all that for me? And what platforms do you think is going to come from?
Wishful thinking. I wish Apple and Google, but mainly Apple, because I'm a big fan, would just say, hey, we're a decentralized company. We'll put our resources and build everything and complete trust. But in terms of trusting, I barely trust myself sometimes with transaction where I'm triple checking and just the way it's built. It's all these numerical numbers and now people are like spoofing it. There's too many variables. But in terms of how soon it will be adopted, I think we've still got a long ways. Think about how long we've been in blockchain, and yet we're still dealing with the different challenges of risk and maybe different scams and possibility of how we can get hacked. You see that with even some of the biggest company, with some of the biggest exchanges as well, multi-billion dollars per year, and it's happening every year. It's not getting better. And I think these hackers are going to get more sophisticated. And going back to the point earlier on accountability, I think before this panel, I was like, what if I was a devil's advocate and really wanted to manipulate the market? What do I do? Hey, agent, create a market situation where I could run my high frequency trade, crash the market with a little bit of amount of capital. Not giving people ideas out here, but there's a lot of ways if you put on the wrong hat, you can really cause a stir in the market. And if we don't have a handle on this, I think it'll be extremely dangerous. But going back to your question, how soon? To a state of where we can say, hey, our large institutions are utilizing agents as well, I think we still got a long ways due to the regulatory landscape. Agents acting on behalf of you, doing cross-border transaction, manipulating things, or acting on behalf of you. I think that's something that we have to figure out, and I think even for the local government as well. But we don't have a solution yet. Everybody's still learning, adopting, and seeing all the variables that could or could not happen.
Very interesting point on the regulatory perspective. 100%. Jan?
Yeah, I mean, the main issue is the legal framework for that. Yeah, that's really, like, in general, our society works in a way that we have our biological evolution, which is very slow. Then we have a society that evolves in a certain manner, in a certain fashion. But technology outpaces all of that. So there is no legislation in many places for blockchain. That's been around how long? Mm-hmm. And AI, we are not there. Who's accountable if my agent commits a crime? If I have an AI agent, then agent commits a, let's say, financial crime. There's no robots yet that can murder you, but who knows?
The prompt is the intent, right?
Yeah. Did I instruct it to, or did it just misunderstand, derive something out of my speech? Was I not clear enough? Is it like in...
It leaves room to
Yeah, exactly. Or they say 2001, right? The hell that went crazy because it had contradictory information. I don't know if you're familiar, a bit nerdy reference there, but it's basically, and that movie was made in the 60s. So, but that's a very, very relevant topic. My agent gets information that could be interpreted as, okay, go ahead and scam that guy, or just talk to him and see if I can get my money that he owes me, or I don't know, right? So there are several ways to interpret things. The infamous experiment with Claude, where they had told it it's going to be shut down, and under certain circumstances and the way it was phrased, it started blackmailing their CEO with his affair he had. So, yeah, who's accountable for this?
That reminds me of Ross, Case, and BitTorrent. So we might have a replay on how this plays out and who's responsible, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think that, probably just follow what the fellow panelists just say. Honestly, I don't think the issues lay on the technology, but it's just more on the accountability. And in fact, that when a Web3 talking about finance, which is like kind of the one among the top highly regulated industry, right? And then you asking like someone just like on your behalf. Like for example, you're not gonna bring the AI solution or like AI agent in this case and talk to the patient, right? It's always head layer of the doctor in the between. Why? It's not because of they do worse or bad, because of someone need to verify and someone need to be accountable for it, right? So I do think that it's not layer on the technology layer, but in fact it's more on like, accountability, the regulations, issue, and so on. And actually, right, Stanford's AI research institutes, I can't remember the exact name, they released something, it's talking about the benchmark of the model and also the human base, right? So like for example, last year, like something that humans they do better than AI, but this year itself, most of the the tasks AIs do better than human. The only one task that AI is not able to do better than human yet is the ability of recognize the culture and the context aspect and then combine that together. So just go back to the transaction with the DeFi one. In fact, you don't need the culture aspect here. It's just all about data, right? It's all about, like the transaction, about like the action, which is like AI can definitely do that. Compared with the normal human base, I don't talk about like extremely smart people, just normal human base here. But so I don't think the technology is the issue. Just like probably the other aspect. Yeah.
I think we all agree then. Technology is here. Regulatory is going to be the blocking factor here, and we need to move a bit faster on that side. But then again, moving fast also leads to mistakes. We've seen in the past with a lot of different technologies where we move a bit too fast and we make mistakes. It puts a lot of people in jeopardy. So yes, well, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you to the panelists for today. Thank you for your insight. I had a great time. I hope everybody had a great time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Yeah.
Dạ, xin cảm ơn các diễn giả và điều phối viên của phiên vừa rồi ạ.